again, I'm not against the idea of immigration, but we need to do it the right way. We need to do it the honest way, you know, and we need to have an immigration policy that's consistently enforced. And if we do that, a lot of these problems that we have, where we have these little enclaves, these Latin ghetto communities, I think if we treat the immigrants honestly, a lot of these problems will go away. You know, my grandparents, like I said, my grandparents on both sides of my mother's family were Italian. My father's family, going back, they were Europeans as well. You know, we've all faced the same difficulties. So
I feel like if they would crack down on the crime violators, that's what done hurt us so bad. The crime that is being committed in this country. It's from outsiders, not American, but American doing their share of it, but the majority of, you just watch TV and just when this crime fighters come over TV, every name you see up there is some foreign name. Some foreign name.
Well, believe it or not, statistically, within the illegal immigrant community, there is a lower rate of arrests than there is percentage-wise than there is people who are illegally U.S. citizens. I don't know if that arrests account for all the crime or not, but that is the case. You know, the issue of crime, you know, one of the biggest problems, and again, this is something I grew up in this area, so I know this is a major problem here. Is we've got the war on terror now, which to me is a lot like the war on drugs. You know, and I don't even drink alcohol anymore. So I'm not someone that's going to go out there and advocate drug use for anybody. But I think the way that we've been prosecuting this war on terror is tearing our communities apart. You know, and instead of reducing crime, it's having the reverse effect of creating more crime. And this is something that we've also got, again, an issue that we've got to address honestly. Yeah. Carter, you had something to?
I almost lost my thought. My concern, basically, I'm liking what I'm hearing, but let me ask you a question. Are you saying that you want us to be a part of your campaign?
What I'm saying is, yes, in a nutshell, and that's to the level that you feel comfortable. What I'm saying is that if you want to get involved 1%, that's great. I appreciate all the help I can get. If you want to get involved 100%, I'm open and to welcoming you into that degree. It's up to you.
Another question. He mentioned crime or whatever, and you said that, statistic-wise, that more Americans are involved in the crimes than what he was saying. But my point is that we have approximately 2 million people in jail, okay, which means that half of them is unable to vote. Now, if you became disrelieved officer, whatever you will be, would you vote to have them to be able to vote when they came out of jail? In other words, once they did their sentence, how would you feel about that?
That's actually a state issue. That varies from state to state.
I know Florida has it.
Yeah, Florida is one of the holdouts on that. It's slowly making some progress. Before it was once you're a convicted felon in Florida, you couldn't vote no matter what. Now there's once you finish your sentence, there's a rather lengthy process that you can go through so that you can get your voting status back. Again, this is a state issue, not a federal issue. But if it were up to me, once you've served your sentence and your sentence is complete, you should be able to vote again.
How do you feel about a lot of the veterans are coming out and they are not able to cope with the everyday life, and what happens, they end up in the system, okay, which means that I think the system should do something for them in regard to say, well, I'm going to put you in jail, because there's a lot of problems in there. That the reason that he came out and he can't cope due to the fact that we need to look at that for putting punishment in regards to him as a person. See, once you put punishment on the family too. In that situation, this is what's happening in Fort Myers a lot of times, you know. This is what you got. Also, let me throw this in before I forget it. The veteran outpatient out there, you go out there, you take 2 or 3 weeks to get an appointment. You can't get an appointment, you know. So you go out there and you say, well, hey, I got this, whatever. Okay, you come back 3 weeks or a month. By that time, man, you got problems. But, you know, I don't know if you can see into that or look into that, you know, in that sense, since this is right in the district.
Well, this is something I would definitely like to take a look at personally. And this is something, you know, I'm hoping what we can do is that we can call attention to these issues. And this is exactly the type of thing that I want to see personally. Now, you know, the problem, we have a big problem right now. We have you were talking about the, you know, military equipment that people are buying that's already obsolete, or that we're spending these insane dollar amounts on. You know, a good example is the missile shield, the Star Wars missile shield plan, something that hasn't worked for the last 30 years, and you know, but we dump loads of money in. What's happening right now is, and I'm hearing this, and I'm reading this also from a lot of top people in the military, is they're saying that it is financial business concerns that is driving military appropriations, and in particular, driving foreign military deals. You know, recently something like $76 billion in military equipment was sold to Egypt and Israel. You know, I don't know about you, but I think if there's one part of the world that could stand with maybe some fewer weapons than more, it's that part of the world. But, you know, instead they're selling them more, and the reason they're selling it to them is because it's a financial thing. You know, some congressman has got in his district, he's got McDonnell Douglas or whatever in his district, and they need the money, they need to keep working. So it's these financial concerns that are driving this. Now, my question is how many fewer stealth bombers or FA-18s would we have if we took some of that money and diverted it to the veterans? You know, there are so many things that we spend money on because from a business point of view, it's important. Somebody making money at a corporate level, it's important, and we neglect this human level. We're neglecting the veterans in particular. You know, the problem is not that people don't want to help veterans. By people, I'm talking about politicians. The problem is that the politicians don't want to spend the money.
They're spending the money other places.
That's right.
They spend so many billions of dollars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Couldn't you take 1 month appropriation, 1 month, and that'll last you 10 years? Yeah. It will last you 10 years in the civilian sector.
Exactly.
1 month.
And, you know, it comes down to two things. Number one, you know, politicians feel more important when they're waging war somewhere or waging war on something because it looks like they're doing something about the problem. Even if they're making the problem worse, at least it looks like they're doing something. And the other problem is that you know, unfortunately, there's a mentality that a lot of people have, and this isn't their first motivation. You know, I think a lot of people, they're sincere when they say that they think they're doing some good, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, if I spend this money on buying more bombers, my stock in that company will go up. If I spend this money on the veterans, what have I got to show for it? You know, and again, I don't think this is the first thing in their mind, but you know,
the only thing in their mind.
In the back of their mind, at the very least, yeah, it's there somewhere.
It's the only thing. They are spending. We had an incident that took place 4 or 5 years ago called Katrina. Now I have a hard time with that. Those people was on the top of their houses for 10 days, 12 days, right? The president was flying around from place to place. Follow me now. Don't lose me. They could take a division, 10 divisions, and deploy them to Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq, but they couldn't take 1 to 15 helicopters and do something about Katrina. Why?
Am I Mr.
Can I answer that?
Am I Mr. Moore?
I won't answer that because we're getting the black and white thing again. You know what? Biggest weight that really irks me. All these weights irks me. Yeah. But when I sat, like 60 Minutes was on last Sunday, I believe, and I look at the 2.5 billion or whatever it was wasted when one of the representatives or somebody taking a trip and all the upgrades. He just can't take a flight with all the upgrades. And you know, I go into a new office, well, I don't like this office, so I'm going to read. That waste really irks me. Because, see, that is totally personal. That has nothing to do with the job. That has nothing to do with getting something done. That's all me. What I'm doing for me. And that really bugs me. That, I mean, I want to throw y'all out. I'm sorry, not y'all. All of them. I really like to clean house and start over again. We need some working people in there who, you know, who has lived on $6,000 a year. See, that's the people we need. We need common sense in government. We don't have common sense anymore.
Yeah, I was walking, like I said, I was walking downtown last night, and you know, I was reading our congressman. He just put out what he got out of his appropriation bill. And you know, one of the items that there was almost $1 billion for beach restoration and Boca Grande. You know, there's maybe 200-300 houses there, and I guarantee you, there's not a house under $2 million on that island. You know, and I was walking and I was looking at just the houses around here, and I was thinking, who in Washington represents the people in this neighborhood? You know, when I go in the house I grew up in Cape Coral, you know, it's a nice, you know, it's a nice middle class neighborhood, and I go there and I think the same thing. Who's representing the people there? And I don't have an answer. I mean, there's a few guys out there that I can name that are decent in Congress, but by and large, I mean, who's really comes from this experience is representing us.
Gentlemen, we have to terminate because we have a few things we have to discuss before we leave, and it's been almost 2 hours. So we thank you for coming. We
thank you for having me. I really appreciate
the presentation, and don't give up on us. You may be getting some phone calls.
All right. Let's go give those to you. Okay. And yeah, don't want to keep you from your regular business.
Yeah, we've got some pressing things that we need to take care of this evening, and I normally don't let meetings run more than an hour. Somewhere I learned that in my military. But anyway, thanks a lot, John.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And actually, I just want to do one last thing. While we got the camera rolling, just so I can make sure everything is right, you can just say your first name or you can say your whole name, whatever you're comfortable with. Can you just please, what's your name, sir?
Buster Jones.
Buster Jones?
Yeah. Horace Barrett.
James English.
Wallace Washington.
All right. And again, thank you so much for having me here.
You're certainly welcome.
Yeah.
And good luck with your campaign.
Thank you. I'll be hearing from you.
Yes, you will.
Just let me know if you've got some issues that you want some camera time on. You think there's something that the community needs to be seeing, let me know.
I like that.
Because that's exactly what we need to be doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Speedy, what name was on McCarter? I thought Speedy was your
No.